Sullivan's Crossing Cast and Character Guide, where you've seen the actors before. What if everything you thought you knew about Sullivan's Crossing was a carefully planted lie? What if its heartwarming small-town charm was hiding something deeper? Because Sullivan's Crossing isn't just a story about lost love and second chances, it's a puzzle. And once you understand who these characters really are, and where you've seen them before, you'll start to realize this show was never meant to be just entertainment. Every actor, every casting choice, is a breadcrumb trail, and the deeper we dig into their past roles, from Gilmore Girls to Star Trek, the closer we get to a truth that's been hidden in plain sight, but we're not supposed to see it, not all at once. That's why Sullivan's Crossing isn't just a series. It's a coded narrative, a warning, and by the end of this video you'll understand why. But first, ask yourself why this cast, why this show, adapted from a quiet book series, now, because once you start pulling the thread, you'll see how far the web really stretches. On the surface, Sullivan's Crossing is a comforting romantic drama. A daughter returns to her estranged father. A mysterious man helps her heal. A sleepy town full of kind strangers slowly reveals itself as a new home. Sounds familiar, right? That's the trap. Because this show, quietly produced, modestly marketed, is doing something no other drama is. It's gathering actors with powerful cultural archetypes embedded deep in our subconscious. Actors who have shaped how we think about love, healing, and even identity itself. And then, it's recasting them, reassigning their symbolic meaning, rewriting the roles we thought we understood. Let me show you what I mean. Morgan Kohan, the lead Maggie Sullivan, seems like a fresh face. But her character arc isn't new. You've seen it in When Hope Calls, where she played another woman trying to build something in the wilderness. You've seen it in Batwoman, where she embodied the underestimated but brilliant woman in a man's world. In each of these roles, Kohan's characters are not just characters, they are avatars for an idea, the idea of returning home to heal ancestral wounds. Now why is that important? Because Sullivan's Crossing is obsessed with legacy, family, estrangement, and forgiveness, all things that have nothing to do with modern romance, and everything to do with generational trauma. And she's not alone. Scott Patterson, Maggie's father, better known to most as Luke from Gilmore Girls, the rugged, emotionally blocked father figure. Only this time the cafe has been swapped for a campground, and the daughter is not Rory. She's a doctor, a fixer. But Patterson's presence tells us something. This isn't a show about beginnings. It's about returning to the people we left behind, or to the person we used to be. You see, every time you recognize a face on this show, something strange happens in your brain. Your memories from other shows come flooding in. You start to feel trust, familiarity. But it's not an accident, it's a strategy. Because the truth is, Sullivan's Crossing isn't trying to tell you a story, it's trying to reprogram you. But before we dig deeper into the web, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because the next half of this video uncovers secrets no other YouTube channel is showing you. This isn't fan trivia. This is hidden casting psychology the networks don't want analyzed. Let's look closer. Chad Michael Murray, the quiet handyman with a mysterious past. Sounds like a safe role, but Murray was Lucas Scott in One Tree Hill, a character that defined a generation's understanding of longing, emotional depth, and unfinished business. He was also Tristan Dougray in Gilmore Girls, the dangerous flirt with a secret heart of gold. Now he plays Cal Jones, a former lawyer, quietly hiding from his past, falling for a woman who is emotionally unavailable. Does this sound like just a romantic arc? Or is it echoing the exact same emotional coding we've seen before? Because here's the secret, the writers aren't just writing new characters, they're hijacking your memory. When Cal holds back his feelings, you remember Lucas writing Brooke letters he never sent. When he fixes the crossing instead of fixing himself, you remember Tristan watching Rory walk away, and your brain, without you realizing it, starts assigning emotional depth and meaning to Cal that the script never earned. That's how powerful casting is. That's how dangerous this game becomes. But it goes even deeper. Tom Jackson and Andrea Menard, Frank and Edna Cranebear, two actors with deep indigenous roots. Not just token characters, but anchors of emotional and spiritual truth in the show. Frank is an AA sponsor, the old friend The Rock. But his backstory is far more personal. He severed ties with his family after they sold his mother's ceremonial regalia. His pain isn't about drama, it's about heritage theft. Now think about this, the show aired in both the US and Canada. The border town setting. Not just scenery, it's a liminal space. A place where the past and present collide, where old traditions battle modern expectations. Frank and Edna don't just offer wisdom, they are reminders of something we don't talk about on television, that colonial trauma lives in the land. And every guest who stays at Sullivan's Crossing walks on sacred ground, even if they don't know it, even if they can't know it, until it's too late. So ask yourself, why are so many of these characters escaping something? Why are they drawn to this place? Why does everyone in Sullivan's Crossing arrive broken, and leave rewired? Because the campground is more than a setting, it's a ritual space. A spiritual circuit board built from memories, mistakes, and ancestral ghosts. But we're just scratching the surface. Because in part 2 of this breakdown we'll expose the real reason Maggie's mother keeps pushing her back to Boston, why every guest character is a psychological test for the main cast, and how the show's final casting twist in Season 3 is a breadcrumb for a much darker revelation. This isn't just a TV drama, it's a modern myth, and the secret it's hiding might change how you see your own past. Let's look at Phoebe Lancaster, Maggie's mother, a woman of wealth, elegance, control. She ripped Maggie away from her father, Sully, raised her in Boston, molded her into a polished neurosurgeon. But there's something no one is saying aloud. Phoebe isn't just protective, she's possessive, and when she hears the name, Sullivan's Crossing, her face tightens, her voice changes. Because for Phoebe, the crossing represents everything she escaped. She doesn't see it as a healing place, she sees it as a wound. One she thought she sealed shut decades ago. But what if Phoebe isn't trying to protect Maggie? What if she's trying to protect herself? Because the real scandal isn't Maggie's career collapse. It's what Phoebe buried, in her divorce, in her daughter, and possibly in the land itself. She married Walter Lancaster, Maggie's stepfather, another neurosurgeon, respected, esteemed, but later, exposed in a scandal. Ask yourself this: what was really motivating Maggie to become a doctor? What memory was she trying to chase or erase? Because the show never truly tells us what Maggie saw growing up, only that she felt pulled toward medicine, toward control, toward fixing what's broken. But at Sullivan's Crossing, nothing stays fixed, and that's the point. The campground seems simple: cabins, trees, a quiet river. But look again, every episode begins with someone arriving. A guest, a camper, a stranger, and every time, their arrival shifts the emotional balance of the main cast. Because the crossing isn't a place, it's a threshold. A place between past and future. A place where identities dissolve and reform, and those who stay too long, they change. Ray Faddis, the firefighter, brave, loyal, but deeply distrustful. Why? Because Sydney, Maggie's childhood friend and Rafe's love interest, isn't just beautiful. She's a former model, forced to raise her brother's child, trapped by a world that measures women by what they give, not what they want. Their relationship is a battle of trust. And again, not just romantic tension. It's the show whispering something darker, that even in paradise, trauma doesn't vanish, it mutates, evolves, and if you're not careful it consumes you. Let's talk about Lola Gunderson. On paper, she's Maggie's rival. They grew up together, and while Maggie left town, Lola stayed. But there's more to it. Lola represents what Maggie could have become if she never left. She's the mirror, the ghost of a path not taken. And Frank Cranebeer, he helped Lola's family, which enraged Maggie, because Sully helped them too. But look deeper. Maggie's resentment isn't about Lola. It's about being replaced, forgotten. It's about the terror that your roots don't want you back. And that's what makes Sullivan's Crossing dangerous. Not because it's haunted by ghosts, but because it's haunted by versions of yourself. Let's pause for a second. Why did the creators of Sullivan's Crossing choose actors like Chad Michael Murray, the face of 2000's teen trauma, Scott Patterson, the world's most iconic gruff, yet soft-eyed Tom Jackson, a literal legend of Canadian Indigenous storytelling, Andrea Menard, a performer who writes the songs of reconciliation and healing, Morgan Kohan, a rising star who only plays characters running from something, because together, they don't just act, they trigger us. Every viewer brings memories of other shows, other characters, other emotional journeys. So when you seek how comforting Maggie, your brain isn't seeing two actors. It's seeing Lucas Scott and Stephanie Brown. It's seeing trauma collide with strength, familiarity blend with tension. You trust them, because you've trusted them before. But that's not casting. By season 3's finale, everything is calm, too calm. Maggie is finally in sync with Sully. Her romance with Cal is no longer tentative. Edna and Frank feel like the wise pillars holding the whole town together. And then a visitor arrives, from Maggie's past, and just like that, the entire emotional architecture collapses. Because this isn't just an old friend or a former flame. This person knows something. Something Maggie buried. Something the town was never supposed to remember. The finale leaves it open-ended. Just a shadow, a whisper, a look. But let me tell you the real secret. That figure isn't from Maggie's past. They're from her origin. And in season 4, that mystery will pull the mask off everything. Every new guest in the campground seems random. A writer here, a cousin there, a heartbroken widow, a backpacker, a parent with a lost child. But look closely. Each one is a cipher. Helen Culver, the writer who rents a cabin and becomes Sully's first real love interest. But also a documentarian, a story collector. She doesn't just fall for Sully, she studies him. And when Helen talks about truth and writing things down, the subtext becomes clear. She's not just chronicling the campground, she's trying to decode it. Now that season 4 is greenlit, the map is nearly complete. We know who Maggie is. We know what Cal is running from. We know what Sully regrets. We know Edna's quiet wisdom and Frank's unresolved fury. But there's one thing we still don't know: why Sullivan's Crossing calls to the broken. Why everyone there seems drawn by something deeper than chance. This series wants you to think it's about romance. But what if it's actually a spiritual ritual disguised as a drama? A space where people are stripped of titles, doctor, father, firefighter, and forced to become their most honest selves. Because once you enter Sullivan's Crossing, you don't leave the same. Not ever. Because this isn't fiction. It's a mirror. And the longer you stare into it, the more it stares back. You made it this far. That means you're not just a fan of the show. You're a seeker. You see the cracks behind the curtain. You feel the patterns. And if you want to keep going, if you want to uncover the next layer of truth, then hit that subscribe button right now. Because season 4 is about to change everything. And the truth, You were never supposed to see it, but now that you have, there's no turning back.